Two men have been arrested for stealing an off-duty officer's car at gunpoint in Manhattan. Jose.
Wait, what?
Now, he made a shocking confession to authorities saying that he is a member of the vicious Venezuelan gang and that gang is smuggling firearms into migrant shelters. Bernardo.
Say what now? What's happening?
We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. This is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here. We're here. We're getting no support on this national crisis, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
When New York City Mayor Eric Adams said that this migrant crisis can destroy New York City, he was not being hyperbolic. It's been a very, very troubling situation here in New York City, and there's been some really disturbing crimes that's been perpetrated by migrants. So we're going to be talking about some of the more outrageous and disturbing crimes, but also we're going to talk about some new legislation that's been talked about in New York City that can change things quite a bit. So we're going to check out this video. I've seen this a few weeks ago about how New York City, there's some areas that turn into a place where you could just buy stolen goods and get a prostitute. Yeah, let's get into it.
You get warned and then you get stabbed. I was pretty sure I was going to be stabbed at least 2 or 3 times reporting on this story. A reader reached out to me. They said several spots along Roosevelt Avenue were turning into what they described as the Wild Wild West, a illegal open-air bazaar where you could find anything from hookers to stolen Makita drills, like anything.
What are we doing in New York City? Like what are we doing? Now, a lot of this has happened before, obviously, but clearly with 100,000 migrants coming to New York City and not being able to get jobs for many of them, they're going to find ways to make money. Let's continue.
You can think of, you could get as long as you had the cash. It was all out in the open and nobody seemed to care. These individuals were stealing from stores right here, right where they're selling. They're stealing from these stores, taking the items outside and then selling them right in front of the stores.
It's great. That is outrageous. Outrageous. And shoplifting seems to be something that just continues to happen. It has increased over the last couple of years. The cops are probably exhausted at this point. They arrest the person, they just come right back out. They still have the no bail situation. So there is no real incentive to stop doing this. So people are stealing from Walgreens and CVS and all these stores, Target, running in there, and to come back outside to sell the thing they just stole. And didn't even leave the block. They're still in the corner with the stolen goods. Outrageous.
They just stole them. There's a place right behind me called Lot Less. It's kind of like a retail kind of establishment. The gentleman who was running security there, who was actually hired and brought in just to deal with these people, he told me that he had stopped or he had caught 20 individuals stealing that week. If this continues, these stores cannot compete with people who are illegally selling their stolen merchandise.
If you're a small business owner and you sell clothes or you sell goods, you just sell some minor stuff and you got to pay the rent. You work on your own. You don't have, tons of employees. You're just doing just enough to pay the bills and pay yourself. And you got people stealing your goods. It's no wonder major retail stores are leaving New York City. They're leaving some of these high crime areas. You can't make money. And then when they leave, jobs leave with them.
The one that was like the most brazen was the guy who pulls up in a van and he pulls out a folding table and he starts building a display of Home Depot power tools that were stolen recently. And you can tell because the tags on the boxes actually have the current SKU numbers. And he's selling them for like a drill that's like $249. He's selling for like $70.
That is some crackhead prices.
They have lookouts on the corners, which alert them when the police are coming or when there's any kind of trouble. They have their items laid out on big like beach towels that they can just kind of wrap it up, bundle it up, throw it over their shoulders, and hightail it out of there. The police do come by, they do sweeps, they'll arrest 1 or 2 of them, but within minutes of the police leaving, everybody comes back, sets right back up, and it's like nothing happened.
So let's get into more of the more serious, really crazy crimes that's been going on in New York City involving migrants.
2 men have been arrested for stealing an off-duty officer's car at gunpoint in Manhattan. Jose
Wait, what? I can't believe that.
Rivera and Jomar Crespo of Waterbury, Connecticut are charged with criminal possession of a machine gun, firearm, among other charges. Police say the 2 men approached the officer and demanded his keys at West 146th Street in Harlem on Friday. Authorities discovered the car nearby, took the men into custody. The victim was not injured.
Now, the interesting thing about that story, that little 30-second clip, that they didn't mention that these people were migrants. The criminals were migrants. Don't know why they didn't mention that, but let's verify that. And just to verify that that actually is true, 2 armed men believed to be Venezuelan migrants. One was holding a fully automatic pistol, carjacked an off-duty NYPD officer in Harlem, law enforcement sources said. The men approached the officer while he was sitting inside his personal 2020 BMW around 11:30 p.m. Friday at West 146th Street and Bradhurst Avenue. The suspects, who had tattoos believed to be associated with a Venezuelan gang, had their guns drawn. One of them knocked the officer's gun out of his hand and demanded his keys. The pair then sped off into the night with the officer's vehicle. One of the guns in the brazen incident had a Glock switch, making it fully automatic, something not typically seen in New York City.
You heard the shots. Came in a moped, shot him, then, chaos.
The police response was rapid after 3 people were shot on Davidson Avenue in the Bronx. Investigators now revealing Josue Silva, a teenage Venezuelan migrant, was the trigger man. Tragically.
What's going on with the Venezuelans? What's going on? What's up? Seems like, what's going on here, guys? I'm just saying.
A man and woman didn't survive.
It's sad that it has to be a funeral, but, it brought the neighborhood together.
Other residents on this University Heights block believe recent asylum seekers toured a park.
Coming in on motorcycles and mopeds and, creating havoc.
Detectives say a group of migrants, including Silva, had been squatting inside vacant apartments here. On May 24th, they say a fight between them and the victims led to the deadly bloodshed.
These sanctuary policies are not keeping the citizens, residents, and migrants in the city of New York safe.
Absolutely. I mean, so the company or the landlord, why they allow that to happen? I know squatting rights is a bit of an issue, but even the local residents are saying they're destroying this neighborhood.
The sanctuary city status drawing common complaints from law enforcement and Mayor Adams, which is why a bipartisan group of 8 council members introduced a bill modifying what they say are the biggest hurdles.
And we're going to talk about that bill in a little bit, but let's continue to see more of the crimes that some of these migrants are doing.
After days on the run, the man police say committed a sick and violent sexual assault on a teen at a park is under arrest.
Wow.
His neighbors turned him in, and that was after they delivered some street justice.
You can actually see the bruises on the suspect's face in his mugshot. In fact, this beatdown so extensive that police had to take him to Elmhurst Hospital to get treated. But I spoke to... Fantastic work. Good job. Good job with the neighbors doling out what he deserved. The man who identified this man, recognized him, waited outside of this bodega for hours for this suspect to show up, then placed him in a headlock, restrained him using a belt around his legs until police arrived. And Jeffrey tells me this was all personal for him when he heard the details of this crime because he has 2 sisters and a baby girl on the way.
Beat his ass.
Christian Inga is set to face a Queens judge on a slew of charges linked to an attack on 2 kids in Casina Park.
And I told everybody, yo, this is the rapist, I punched them, I kicked them a little bit.
24-year-old Jeffrey Flores recognized Inga when the NYPD released these clear photos of the 25-year-old riding away on a bicycle.
He really tried to run for his legs, but he couldn't.
Inga was known to buy cigarettes and drinks from this bodega on 108th Street and Waldron. Inga went inside the bodega, and that's when he put him in a headlock. Flores then used a friend's belt to tie the suspect's legs together and restrained him until police showed up.
He started yelling, help, 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 and I'm like, yeah, that's what the little girls were saying.
Police say Inga is the man who attacked 2 13-year-olds last week and forced them into the woods at knife point. It's there where authorities say he sexually assaulted the 13-year-old girl and then ran off with the victim's phones.
Disgusting.
Police say Inga is a migrant from Ecuador who entered the U.S. through Eagle Pass, Texas back in 2021 with his then 3-year-old son.
This should not be happening. Like I say over and over and over again, New York City already has too many people. There's too much crime as it is. Now, New York City, I looked this up. that crime is down in New York City. But at the same time, when you bring in 100,000 people into an already packed city, not everyone's going to be a good person, clearly. And these kind of crimes are pushing politicians to finally realize that they need to figure out a way to figure out this problem. Those two victims, that should not have happened to them.
Suspect identified as a Venezuelan migrant accused of shooting 2 officers after they tried to pull him over for driving the wrong way.
What the, I tell you, some of the migrants, it's a low amount. I'm not going to go and say that, I think at this point, the sanctuary city laws are not working. But some of these people coming in, they're gangsters. So you're driving the wrong way in a moped. And that's why, and this moped thing affects a lot of people, even regular New Yorkers that may just want to use their moped. Now the cops are stopping them and you got to have it registered. But they're telling you, hey, you're going the wrong way. That's very unsafe. I hate that when people drive in the opposite direction while I'm driving. They're taking their bikes or their moped. You can get killed doing that. And the cops say, hey, man, you stop. And he's like, I'm going to return the favor by shooting at you. Damn, these gangster ass people, I tell you.
But prosecutors say his criminal activity goes much deeper than this one incident.
Fox Eye's Jessica Formosa joins us live from East Elmhurst with what he allegedly fessed up to. Jess.
Natasha and Teresa, he said a lot, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But as you recall, this suspect came into this country illegally a year ago. He was arraigned on a number of charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree. He used to live here at this shelter off Dimars Boulevard, but says he was kicked out. Now, he made a shocking confession to authorities saying that he is a member of the vicious Venezuelan gang, Aragua, and that gang is smuggling firearms into migrant shelters. Bernardo.
Say what now? What's happening? Ah, boy.
Raul Castro, the Venezuelan migrant who shot 2 police officers earlier this month, came face to face with the judge this morning. The 19-year-old arrived in a wheelchair and didn't say a word, but prosecutors say he spoke at length with investigators, giving shocking details of that night and what he's been up to since he arrived in New York City. He told cops he worked for DoorDash and received the gun he used to shoot the officers from a friend.
Last night, I was coming home from work.
How one moment you're delivering DoorDash, you're trying to make some money. How did he get an account? DoorDash, Uber Eats, all these accounts, all these platforms, illegal migrants are using it. But whatever. All right, cool. You're making some money. You're going the wrong way. The cops are telling you to chill, and you start shooting at them. I don't understand that leap of one moment you're making money, you're doing your thing, now you're trying to kill some cops.
I was in a car with my friend, and my friend, Jose,
confessing to police that he's a member of the notorious Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. According to audio recordings read by prosecutors, Mata claims he was recruited by a cousin to join the gang to do robberies. But the most shocking claim, the gang has been smuggling guns into city-run shelters.
Aragua members were smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they'll have to go through the metal detector.
I'm wondering, why is he being forthcoming with all this information? I mean, if you're a gang member, you're supposed to be speaking. You're not supposed to be being an informant. So that's very interesting. Well, I'm wondering why he decided to be so forthcoming. Usually you could just not speak at all, and you're going to jail for a very long time. You're trying to kill cops. But they're bringing in guns to migrant shelters and putting in food bags as if they're delivering for DoorDash or something, because those items are not getting passed through metal detectors. Well, I guess now they need to pass them through metal detectors now.
On June 3rd, 2 NYPD officers attempted to pull him over for driving an unregistered scooter the wrong way on a one-way street in East Elmhurst. As police tried to pull him over, Mata ran off. Police chased him, and when they caught up with him, he resisted arrest. Mata allegedly fired at both officers, shooting Officer Christopher Abreu in the leg and Officer Richard Yaruso point blank in the front of his bulletproof vest.
Wow.
In court this morning, the ADA says Mata also said that shooting at police officers is what they do in his home country.
It is common practice for Tren de Aragua gang members to shoot at police officers.
Hey man, you're not in Venezuela anymore. Like, I understand what you used to do back in the old country, but you can't shoot cops here. Not New York City. This happened at another case that happened in Times Square. I talked about this in a previous video. They're going nuts. They're going absolutely nuts. So you know what? Let's talk about this potential bill that's going to peel back, or at least roll back, the sanctuary city laws that were placed a couple of years ago. So yeah, this is a New York City bill seek to repeal the Mayor de Blasio era sanctuary city laws that help weed out criminal migrants. I think that's the most basic thing they can do, or they should be doing. If you're committing crimes, you should not be able to stay. I don't know how that's something that's difficult to understand, take to have. You can't do that. So council members Robert Holden and John Borrelli are pushing a bill to roll back the sanctuary city laws that were placed in 2014 to 2018 when Bill de Blasio was mayor. These laws made it hard for the NYPD and other city departments to work with ICE unless it was a really serious case involving terrorism or major public safety threats, which I don't know. I think these cases do involve a major public safety threat. These council members argue that these sanctuary city laws are making New Yorkers less safe because they stop local cops from cooperating with federal migrant authorities. They point out that these laws sometimes force the NYPD to release people who could be dangerous, and just because they don't have a major crime convictions on their record, Holden believes that this is risky and wants to go back to where things were before, allowing cooperation with ICE to keep criminals off the street. Eric Adams is kind of on board with this idea too. So obviously there's a lot of debate going on. Supporters of the bill say it's just common sense to get rid of the laws because they think it would help NYPD keep everyone safe. And on the other hand, those who support keeping the sanctuary city laws believe that they're protecting the vulnerable communities and creating a better environment for migrants who are just out there trying to live their lives without fear. I don't understand the other side of this. The violent migrants are making life terrible for everybody. And if the NYPD cannot effectively take care of the problem because of the law, in my opinion, you probably should change the law. What do you guys think about what's going on in New York City with the migrant crisis? This situation just hurts New York City. People may not want to visit. People may not want to invest. People want to leave. They have to figure this situation out. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.